In today's episode, we are going to talk about one of the easiest, most potent manifestation hacks that you can do anytime, anywhere, instantly. It is powerful. It works. It's proven. I'm fired up. Let's go. Welcome to All In with Allie podcast, the podcast for online business owners and entrepreneurs who are ready to create the life and business of their dreams. I am so happy you are here. All right. So we all know what manifesting is, right? It's conscious creation. It's co-creation. It's you realizing that you do play a role in what it is that you create on this planet, and it's you simply being intentional about it. They talk about it in the Bible. It's not a new subject, right? I feel like I don't need to give any kind of intro to what manifesting is, and that it's not a bad thing. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It's nothing to be scared of. Everybody does it, whether they realize it or not. Even when you're not aware that you're manifesting, you are manifesting your reality. And that's the scary thing, because if you're not aware of it, then you're just kind of like this bag floating in the wind, taking life as it comes to you and just accepting it, and not being aware of the power of your thoughts and your ability to shape your own reality and to create things that you want to create in your lifetime. So there are lots of methods for manifesting and calling in and creating the things that you want. There's journaling. There's, using meditation for manifestation. There's vision boards. There's visualization. There's tons of different modalities. You can, as soon as you listen to this, and if you were to do a Google search, you're all of a sudden going to get these ads for these special journals, right? I remember I got this journal once that was like, I think it was 365 something anyway. And it like had you write as an affirmation what it is that you're creating 3 times in the morning, and then 6 times in the afternoon, and then 9 times in the evening. I don't know, something like that. So my point in saying that is there's a lot of different ways and modalities to create what it is that you want, which is great, right? But what I've noticed, because I've always been fascinated by this, I've always had my own deep knowing and deep understanding of my own power, but all of ours, right? Like nobody here is special. We all have this ability. All of us can be as powerful of creators that we want, but you have to realize that, accept it, and claim it, right? Because we've been given free will, and part of free will is we get to co-create. So if you are scared of it, or you don't believe that it's true, or you don't want to believe it's true, and you are affirming to yourself that you're not a powerful creator, that you're not a co-creator at all, that life is happening to you, and so on, that's what you're going to get. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. And that's where people are like, see, it doesn't work because I said it wasn't going to work and then it didn't work. It's like, but do you realize you created that? Like, look how powerful you are. You not only can create what you want, but you can also create what you don't want. This is why I don't listen to scary podcasts and crime podcasts. And I'll indulge here and there. Some of them are really good, but I don't immerse myself in things that I don't want to see in my own life, because I'm a very powerful creator. No, absolutely not. Like, I need to be in a little bit of in a bubble. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about Delulu in a minute for that reason. Okay. So I really think because like I said, I've always had an interest in this, always. And as soon as I knew that this was something like a thing, I've always studied it. I've always I've done my own research. I've looked at the science of it and, quantum physics, and I've read up on people who talk on this and people that, claim to be their own powerful creators as well. We're going to talk about some of the most, famous examples here in a bit. But one thing that I've noticed is we tend to make this more complicated than it needs to be. We tend to just want to overcomplicate it, right? Because realizing that we can create whatever it is that we want and do so easily seems too simple. It seems too much of a hack, too much of a hack into the system, right? Too much of a cheat code. This can't be easy. So we go into, okay, in order for me to create this, I need to write it down 7,000 times and then I'll be worthy. And that's what it is, right? It's this, if you can't let things be easy for you and you find, and this isn't just in relation to manifesting, but this is just in life in general. I want you to pay attention to this. If you notice that you tend to try and make things more complicated than it needs to be, that is an issue with receiving. That is some sort of worthiness issue, right? If somebody were to come up to you and say, hey, I want to buy your biggest business package or whatever, or can you make me, I want to spend $100,000 with you. Can you write me up a package? And if your first thought is like, it's a trap. No, wait, let's get on a discovery call first. And you notice that you're trying to make it more complicated. This is an issue with receiving. Not saying that we can't make sure, we can't vet people that want to work with us. And let's think of a different example because that's not the best example. Let's say, here's a good one. In relationships, right? Let's say you are single and you want to meet your dream partner and you finally meet the one, or he seems like it, he or she, right? They check all the boxes and it's just easy with them, right? There's no drama. They're not doing shady stuff. They call when they say they are. They text when they say they are. They're just genuinely good people and they want to be with you and they really freaking like you. If you are then going and thinking this is too good to be true, this person, they must be doing something shady. Why do they like me? This is weird. Like you hear people joke about that. Like I don't like them because they like me and that says something about them. We've all, I've made that joke before, but that's an issue with your receiving, right? That's a deep, deep, deep self-worth issue. And if you're doing that in one way, chances are pretty good. You're doing that in a lot of different other categories in your life. You're probably doing that in some level in business. You're probably doing that at some level in your health, right? If you think in order for you to be healthy and to be thriving, you need to be taking 7 million supplements and you need to be working out every single day, twice a day. It's just like, why are we overcomplicating this? If you eat well, you drink water, you move your body a decent amount, right? Everybody's different, obviously, but you get what I'm saying. And when it comes to consciously co-creating, AKA manifesting, you see this a lot too. Okay, in order for me to create what I want, I need to meditate on it 50 minutes a day, and I need to create a vision board, and I need to be visualizing X amount of time. And here's the thing. You get to do whatever you want. And you get to have fun with this. And if that feels fun for you, if that makes the experience more potent and actually get your mind around to believing that what you're doing is working and it's going to call the thing in, by all means, do whatever you want, right? Visualize until, from sun up to sundown. But the point is it's all in how you think about it. If you think that that's the only way, we're overcomplicating it. If you're doing it because that's one way that and that feels really good and it helps you believe, again, in what it is that you're creating, fine. But it's not the only way, okay? So again, this is something that I've been interested in for years and years and years. I've done a lot of studying on it. It's one of my favorite subjects to learn about. It's one of my favorite subjects to talk about. And I've decided that one of the, I think, most powerful, like I said in the title, easiest, most potent hacks that we can do is this. Are you ready for it? It is simply speaking what you desire and what you're creating into existence. But there's a little bit more to it. Okay. But that is the summary. It is speaking it with a level of belief, and coupled with, okay, so that's like, there's two parts to this, right? Part one, genuinely believing what it is that you're doing and speaking it out loud. And then part two, believing that you are a powerful creator. When you pair these two things together, you are a powerful creator. You already are a powerful creator, but now we've just taken your power to level 10 because you're able to do it so intentionally versus, we're all powerful creators, but not all of us are creating what it is that we want because we don't understand this. So again, so simple, right? And we're going to break it down because it's not simply, I can't just sit here and say, I'm going to be a billionaire tomorrow and it's going to come true. I know that's not going to happen. Okay. And the fact that I know that means that it's not going to happen. So it's not just like you got to have that belief behind it. There's got to be power. There's got to be energy in the words that you are speaking. One of the things that I'm teaching Cruz right now, my son, who's 5.5, is words have power because he's in this like shock humor phase. And he says things, he'll be like, nobody loves Cruzy. Cruzy's mean. Like these just things, he's trying to get a reaction, which is normal. It's part of it. But one of the things that I'm teaching him is like, no. Words have power. You don't just speak things for the sake of speaking things. You want to be intentional and thoughtful about the words that you are putting out into the world because they carry energy. They carry a frequency. They have power. They will create something, right? From your mouth to God's ears. There's a frequency and there's a resonance there. So anyway, speaking what you desire and what you're creating into existence with a level of belief, of course, and then also the belief that you are a powerful creator. So this is why I said you can do this at any time. You can do this anywhere. But let's dive into this a little bit. So for me, when I'm thinking about this, and I have one example. Well, I have many examples where I've done this, okay? I've talked about how I've spoken my husband. Actually, I wrote Chris into existence. I've talked about this before, but before I met Chris, I was in, a pretty bad relationship, just like an ongoing toxic situation. And I was over it, right? I was just like, oh my God, this ain't it. I know I'm worthy of a man who I love and who loves me back, who treats me well, like that reciprocates my love for him, like I know he's out there. And I came across this article that talked about writing a letter to your future partner, and like giving details on, however much detail you want, but essentially capturing the essence of who he is as a person. And I did this. And one of my most frustrating things that is the fact that I don't have this letter. I don't know where this letter is. I must have lost it in a move or something, or maybe it just magically disappeared because it came true. Who knows? But months. So that was like the summer of 2014. I met Chris October 2014. When I say speaking your words into existence, it's, again, don't get caught up in like, it has to be specifically this way. Exactly. Okay. If you have any kind of Virgo in you or any sign that's like Virgo, like me, you're going to try and be like, but tell me exactly what to do. That's not the point. It's simply like the belief in what you're writing and your power to create it. And then either speaking it, writing it, whatever feels good for you. Okay. So like, that's one thing, that's one major example of what I've done. Another examples, many different moments in my business, but most probably recently when I claimed and declared my first 6-figure month last year. I came on here, it was like a month prior, and I declared it. I was like, it's time. I'm ready. So and it happened, and we overshot it, and it was freaking amazing. I did a podcast on it. You can go find it. And I think I called it I did another podcast after that called The Power of Declaration. But it must have been like the one before that or something that I did this. And when I hear that, I think to myself, well, why don't I do this with everything, right? Why don't I declare I'm going to have, I'm going to make multi 6 figures each month, or I'm going to be a billionaire by the age of 40, or I'm going to be able to, retire so-and-so, why don't I just walk around declaring these things? Well, why don't you do that too? Here's why: fear. Okay. The reason why we don't do this more and we don't use this hack to our benefit more is because of fear. Fear of what? One, fear of what if it really happens, and all of, the ripple effect of what that means. And probably more importantly, fear of what if it doesn't happen and you look like a fool. So that's the biggest one for me. I don't necessarily have a fear of like, oh gosh, what if that does happen? It's more so a fear of, okay, what if I say that out loud and it doesn't happen? What are the repercussions of that? Not only do I look like a fool in some people's eyes, or delusional, but now I'm questioning my own power. Like, that's the big thing for me. I don't want to claim something and it not happen, and then me question if I am a good co-creator, because that feels deathly to me. That would just shake my whole existence, because I know I am, but there are things that we got to refine, right? That you got to have a level of belief. So when this comes up for you, this shows you right there. This is like the big red flag for you. Like, hey, yes, this is why you're scared to say this out loud. This means that we have work to do in building the belief. Because if you believed that what you're about to say is going to come true, or has a really good chance if you do the work of coming true, you would say it. But if you're not saying it out of fear of, whatever I just said or something else, that's the work that you need to do. Okay, so if you're not speaking it out loud because you don't want to look stupid when it doesn't happen, well, why do you think it's not going to happen? What stories are you telling yourself? So if somebody were to come up to me and said, declare next month, you're going to have a multi 6-figure month next month, I would have pause in saying that, because my belief is, in order to create multi 6 figures in a month in my business, I would need more people and more of my programs, and I would need to in my mind to have a strategy to create that. This is me, like, okay, in order for me to be worthy or be able to receive that, I need to do work for that. I need to believe in order for me to believe, I would need to have like a really big launch or a new offer that gets a ton of people in. And I would have to do the math in my head to get around thinking. Do you see what I'm doing here? So it's like, okay, then we need to work on that. How can you get around to believing that is possible to happen now? Like with what either your current circumstances. Can we bring our mind, can we wrap our mind around you creating what you want via your current circumstances? Or what aligned action can we take to get the necessary components to create the thing that you want? And oftentimes, and you'll see this a lot if you're studying on law of attraction or manifesting, you'll see that like the how isn't important. It's the intention. It's what it is that you're creating. We don't need to know the how. If you believe in your ability, your worthiness, and what it is that you're creating, if you believe enough, then that energy attracts in the necessary components to make that happen. And yes, sometimes there is aligned action, right? So a good example to think about this is like, if I wanted to be a bodybuilder, and I believed that I could be a bodybuilder and I could compete in one of the big bodybuilding competitions, that's a really, really good start. But I'm not going to sit on the couch and believe that and think about that, and it's just all of a sudden I'm going to win. I would have to sign up for the competition that I think I can win, and I would have to qualify for it. So there's aligned action required there. If you want to be an uber successful business owner, who creates X amount of impact, X amount of revenue, we need a business. We need a portal for that to come through. Okay. So, but maybe one of the things that you can create is the idea for that. So Sarah Blakely has been quoted in saying that before she got the idea for Spanx, she wrote in her journal, "I'm going to invent a product and sell it to millions of people that will make them feel good." So she didn't even know. It's not like she got the idea for Spanx and she was like, this is going to be one of the most successful products on the freaking planet and make me a billionaire. She didn't know the how. She just had the intention. She had the overall bigger vision. I'm going to be an inventor of something that makes people feel really good, and millions of people are going to benefit and buy this. And then she got the idea for Spanx. But she didn't get the idea for Spanx and then twiddle her thumbs and say, okay, when am I going to be a billionaire? When am I going to be successful? Where's it at? I declared it. I wrote it in my journal. I got the idea. No, there was action required. Do you know how many probably billion-dollar ideas, or at least million, multi-million, ridiculous amounts of success ideas that you get probably daily that you're like, wouldn't work? I truly believe we get some of the best ideas, but we don't believe in ourselves, or we don't want to do the work to make it come true, to bring it out, to, birth it into the world, and then it just floats on to somebody else. Elizabeth Gilbert writes about this in the book Big Magic. She talks about, I think she calls it the muse, I think. Don't quote me on that. But she talks about how she believes that when you are receptive, when you're in a receptive state, the muse, or, you could probably look at this as God, the universe, will drop in downloads of incredible ideas. But if you're not going to birth them into the world, they're going to take it and give it to somebody else. And she tells this story about how she got this idea for this book. And she wrote, I want to say she wrote, I don't know, a portion of it, right? And it was a very, very, very specific book idea. And something happened, life kind of got in the way. She didn't put it out into the world. And then cut to like a year or two later, one of her colleagues releases a book that was so eerily similar. You would have thought she broke into Elizabeth's house and got the transcripts and just changed a few details, but that was impossible. There's no way. This transcript was locked and that wasn't a thing. It didn't happen. But this showed, she was like, wow, I got this idea. It was mine to put out into the world, but I didn't put it out into the world. And it was granted to somebody else. So again, we get these ideas, right? And there is a level of action to be taken. You have to do your part. And also the action, the aligned action, when you're taking it, what are you doing? You are saying, I believe in myself enough to make this happen that I'm going to take this action. Because if you didn't believe in your ability to be a successful business owner, you wouldn't start the business. You wouldn't continue to run the business. You'd be insane, right? I know I'm never going to be a professional basketball player. It's not in the cards. So guess what I don't do? I don't practice basketball, right? It's not in the cards. And if it is, I don't want it. So you're not going to find me on a basketball court. But I do believe in my ability to help women and change women's lives and help them realize their own power and help them create the life and business of their dreams. So I continue to show up for this podcast and speak my heart. I continue to put out programs and offers to help them do that and to help myself do that. If I didn't believe in it, I wouldn't do the action. So the action is it's you stepping in faith. Okay, I'm going to do my part. I'm going to meet you, universe, God, halfway and do my part. So the next time you get, or you find yourself putting something on a vision board or dreaming up something really big, ask yourself, would I claim this right now? Would I say this on a podcast right now? Would I put this out into the world? Yes or no? If yes, we're on a really good track. Great. If no, why? That is your work. Okay. So why would I not declare that I'm going to be a professional basketball player? Because I don't want to be one. I don't want to make that happen. And I don't believe that's possible for me. Cool. That's why it's not going to come true. But, okay, what's the other thing that I would claim? Okay. So like I want you to do that practice for yourself. What are the things that you are intentionally calling in right now? And would you go downstairs or wherever you are and say it out loud to your family right now? Would you say it to your partner with confidence? I'm going to make this happen. There are things that I won't even say out loud to Chris because he's the closest person to me. And I don't want to look like a fool to him. But that shows me the work that I need to do. So let's now shift into another way to think about this too. When it like through the lens of like, why aren't we saying this out loud? Why aren't we talking about this? Okay, yes, let's dive into the fear for sure. But also, I think another reason, in addition to the fear, if there was another reason why some of us don't do this, and another thing that I think at best slows us down with our co-creations and at worst stops our co-creations is our unwillingness to let go of what is quote unquote realistic. I'm a realist. Let's be realistic here. Let's be real. But the problem with that is we're creating something new. So if I want to create something that's not here right now, but I'm looking at what's here right now and I'll only speak out loud and allow myself to believe in what's currently made manifest in my life, then I'm not going to call in the new thing. Or again, I'm at least going to slow it down. So I see a lot of people doing that. And there's this idea of like being delusional, delulu. And I love it. I love the saying delulu. That's my favorite thing. Like I want to make hats. Should I make hats with delulu on it? Would you buy it? I would wear it every single day because I truly believe it is delusional people with good intentions that create some of the most incredible creations and powerful manifestations ever. It's people who allow themselves, who have the audacity to be a level of delusional. So what is that? What does that mean? Positive thinking, manifesting, lucky girl syndrome, right? It's this idea that what is isn't, that this is just a fraction of the picture. Yes, this is what I'm doing right now. These are my current results, but this is not the full story. And furthermore, I'm not acting as if what's here right now. I'm acting as if what's coming. I can see what's on its way to me. So I'm going to act as that version. I'm going to behave as if that's already here. That is what some people consider delusional. Like that's not a thing. That's not real. You're a freaking Looney Tune. What do you mean? What do you mean you're going to be a multi-million business owner? Like you've barely hit this number this year. How dare you? How dare you hire that coach when you've only made this? How dare you put out that offer at that price point when you've only done that? How dare you name your podcast six-figure influencer when you haven't hit six figures in your business yet? How dare you? That's not realistic. Be real. And it's like, I understand time. I understand that this is just one timeline. And I understand to you, this seems very, very real. But I also know who I am in what you consider the future, which is just me on a different timeline. I know it's just a matter of time until that thing happens. I am that person now. And it's coming fast. Do you feel the power in that? But people get so touchy, right? That pisses some people off because they're threatened by it, because they don't understand it. And they want to cut you down, and they want to make you feel like you're doing something wrong by gaslighting you and calling you crazy, delusional. So that's why I love it so much that we've taken back the word delusional and we've, made it something cute. And by the way, I did do the research, like, where did delusional come from? And it came from K-pop and like not weird, but like crazy obsessive fans. But also it's trickled down into like another way of, lucky girl syndrome, just this deep, deep belief that what you want is coming to you, that you are lucky, that you are a powerful creator, that what is happening right now is only a fraction of what's coming. So we took the word delusional back and we twisted it and made it something powerful. And I'm so here for that. And the more uber successful and famous people that I study, because I always refer to different documentaries or books that I'm reading. And I notice this a lot. And I've noticed this common theme that this is what they do, right? They not only speak out loud what it is that they're creating, but they believe and they know that they are a powerful creator. I saw a video of Oprah the other day on some channel. And she said, this is her quote. She said, "I don't vision board anymore because I'm a powerful manifester. I don't even need to do that." It's like, damn. And I don't think any of us can argue that Oprah is a powerful creator. Right? When you look at the span of her career and what she's done. But she believes, right? And I would argue that she believed that, maybe not to the extent that she does now, but she believed that on some level in the beginning of her career. And if you've listened to the story of her career and the things that she went for, she had this deep belief in herself that nobody else saw coming. Everybody probably thought she was delusional. Like, woman, you think you're going to have your own, first of all, you think you're going to be on this news station or this radio show, or, I can't remember exactly like how she got started, let alone have one of the biggest talk shows on the history of the planet. I guarantee you a lot of people thought she was hella delusional, like loony bin, lock her up. But she did it. I'm probably going to get some hate for this, but I love Logan and Jake Paul. Okay, bear with me. So I listened to Logan Paul's podcast. For me, it's really fun to listen to, and they talk about really interesting topics, and I like the banter back and forth, and they bring on really great guests if I know who they are. And I noticed this theme with both of them, because once I started listening to the podcast, I kind of got into so there's Logan Paul and his brother Jake Paul, and I realized they both have their history and their drama and whatever, who cares? We've all made mistakes. So anyway, I've started learning more about both of them just from, and if you haven't seen Jake Paul's Netflix documentary, it's really good, but you'll see both of them make really, really bold declarations. This is part of what they've done, but they've done this since they were teenagers, since they were making crummy YouTube videos for like dozens of viewers, if that. But like Jake Paul or Logan, he says all the time, like one of his biggest affirmations that he was saying as a kid was he was going to be one of the greatest entertainers of all time. And not only does he have this huge podcast, but he now does the WWE, and he just like got some major championship with the WWE. I don't know exactly what it's called, but it's a really big deal. And we know who he is, right? Like he's on track to creating that for himself. He created $1 billion brand. Prime just sold its 1,000,000th bottle. I mean, say what you want about what he's doing, but like he's doing some big things, whether you agree with it or not. Same thing with his brother. I'm going to be an elite fighter. And he's doing that. And a lot of people have opinions about that. Listen, I'm not very versed in the fight world, nor do I care to be, but you can't argue. Like this guy, he didn't fight a day in his life, and it's only been a couple of years, and he's like one of the biggest names in these different industries for fighting. He brings a lot of attention. He's garnered a lot of respect. He claimed that, and he had no reason to. So that's one of the reasons why I like them, because it's so interesting to watch. It's like, wow, okay. You believe in yourself, like to an extent that is delusional. And then look what you do. Look what they're doing. It pays off. And it's not to say everything they do turns to gold, because they've had plenty of missteps. They've had plenty of L's for sure. But in the grand scheme of things, not doing bad. I don't think anybody can argue that. Who else? I talked about Oprah. Phil Knight, the creator of Nike. If you read his book, he believed that he was creating one of the biggest, if not the biggest, shoe brand in the world. And we know how that worked out. Michael Jordan, best basketball player of all time. And we see how that worked out. We talked about Sarah Blakely, right? There's like this common thread of this deep-rooted belief, not only in the thing, like it's not so much the declaration that they're claiming, that's a big piece of it, but it's their ability to make it happen. I'm saying this out loud because I know that I can make it happen. If not now, it's only a matter of time. They go both together, right? The two things that go together. It's the belief in the thing, and then your belief in yourself. I just came across this woman. Her name is Chelsea Diane, and her Instagram is Poems and Peonies is her Instagram name. Poems and Peonies, like the flower peonies. And I can't remember, maybe I saw her from Gala Darling. Anyway, I followed her and she just stood out to me. I really liked the things that she was putting out, and she was hosting, she does these classes on, it seems to be a theme of like really powerful women in history. And she was doing a class, and I was like, ooh, I want to be there for that class. And she has this membership, right? In order to get in on the class, whatever it is that she's teaching, she's a writer, she's a poet, and she helps other women also write. But she has this membership. It's $88 a month. And that's how you get to tune into whatever class that she's currently doing, and any class that she's done before. You get access to the full library. And I'm not a poet. I like to write. I wouldn't consider myself a poet. So I would see her talk about, different things, but it would always lead to this membership. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm not a poet. I don't know. I don't think this is for me. And finally, she was hosting this class. I can't remember which one it was, but I was like, okay, I'm just going to get in. Let's see what this is. So I got in. I watched this class. It blew my mind. She is an incredible teacher. Like, so badass. So entertaining, so just rooted in female empowerment. And so since then, I've been binging her other classes because they're just, one, you learn a ton, right? She did like a 2-part class on Frida Kahlo, Cleopatra, Stevie Nicks, Madonna, Medusa, Dolly Parton. She's doing one, as this comes out, it will already be live, but her next one is on Princess Diana, which I'm so excited about. Anyway, but then she also has these other classes on just like different ideas of like for example, poetry for manifestation. And I listened to that one, and she gave, I'm pretty sure it was in that video, she gave such a cool tip that I'm starting to do, and it feels so good and it feels so exciting, and it just feels powerful. But she gave this idea, by the way, go follow her. Again, she's Poems and Peonies on Instagram, and her membership is called Poems and Power, and it's $88 a month. And it's just, I mean, she's just phenomenal. It's so good. And she's so into it. And it's really inspired me, different things that I can bring to my own business. And I think you would probably really like her. Anyway, so go check her out. Shout out Chelsea Diane. But anyway, she gave this tip that I was like, oh, that's so good. And she gave this tip to like have a special journal. And on the journal, you write down, anything I write on these pages comes true. Everything I write on these pages comes true. And that's how intentional you need to be with the words. Like, that is your special magic manifestation journal. And, her prompt was like, just have, and when you get a new desire that's birthed, like, write it on the pages and believe that like anything that's there has to come true. So you have to be really careful what you write in there, right? And I just thought that was such a fun idea. So if you like that, try it on yourself. But like I said, we tend to overcomplicate this, or we think, or maybe I'm just talking to myself here, but like I definitely will. Like, okay, if I want a big thing, I need to do more. I need to spend more time. But what I notice is the things that come into my life the fastest are the things that I claim, or that I say, oh, that would be really cool. And I don't have any doubt that fuzzies it up, that muddies the waters. And then I let it go, and then boom. Ooh, let me tell you another story. Is this like a small example of me creating something, but it was really freaking cool. So, and I told this in my stories the other day. So if you've heard it, just listen to it again. But I don't know. I've been like on a sweet kick lately, and I love a good brownie. Like, ooh, tell me anything better than like a good, rich, gooey brownie, right? So I've been on a hunt for these, and instead of just making them on my own, like you could, I don't know. I'm just like, we'll get Uber Eats a couple of times a week, like for lunch or something. So if the restaurant that we're ordering from has a brownie, I'll order it. I'll be like, okay, maybe this is really good. And they just missed the mark. I don't know, something about it. It's just not, I don't think it's like dark enough. I don't think it's dense or rich enough. I don't know. So I did that a couple of times in 1 week, and I was like, ugh, man, I need to find. And I thought of this brownie that I had. This is so random, but from, what's the Greek place? Tzatziki's. I don't know if you've ever eaten there, but we have this chain of Greek restaurants called Tzatziki's here in Tennessee. And one time I went randomly, this was years ago, and they were selling these brownies in these little plastic containers. And I just randomly got one. And when I tell you, it was the best brownie I've ever had in my entire life, and they don't sell them anymore. I don't know. It's random, right? But I thought of that brownie. I was like, golly, if I could find that brownie again. And then it was like moving on with my life, right? Like, I'm not obsessing over a brownie, but also I don't doubt in my body that I could find that brownie again, right? I was like, oh, I'm sure one day I'll indulge in a brownie like that again. And I move on with my life, okay? When I tell you 2 days later, okay? I am sitting on my couch. It's like 8 p.m. We had just gotten the boys down. So it's that sweet spot in the evening where like Chris and I are eating dinner. We're finishing up dinner. We're watching a show. We're catching our breath. We're just like enjoying the quiet. And it's also the time after dinner that what? You're craving something sweet, right? That's when you go rummaging. You're looking for something in the fridge, in the pantry. And I was just kind of like, oh man, do I want something? Do I get in Cruz's Halloween candy? I don't know. And Chris is on his phone and he kind of chuckles, and I look over and he was like, our neighbor had texted him and said that he was sending over a dessert that he wanted us to try. Because our neighbor just like started this bakery out of his basement. And he like gives loaves of bread and he like tests out all these desserts, and all of us in the neighborhood get to try it and benefit from it. Lucky us. And he was like, okay, he's running over this dessert right now. And it's like 8:00 at night. And I'm like, no freaking way. Please be something chocolate. When I tell you, they were dark chocolate, sourdough, Ghirardelli brownies. Oh my God. They were freaking insane. Insane. Okay. They took the tzatziki's brownie and put it to shame. And that was like the best brownie I've ever had in my life. And here I am again. I didn't have to do anything. I just like thought about it, thought about it a couple of days earlier, let it go. And boom, as I'm sitting on my couch, it's hand delivered to me, the best brownie I've ever had in my life. And I had this moment, I had this thought like, oh, damn, I made that. I created that. Like what else could be that easy? What else can I allow to be that easy in my life? So my homework for you is one, do the test yourself. Like what do you want to create? Like what's one big goal of yours that means a lot? It has meaning to you. Would you go declare that out loud right now? Like if you were on a podcast and this was going out to the world, would you say, I'm going to be the person to do blank, this really big thing? Would you do that? If yes, great. We are on the right track, baby. It's going to happen. If not, why? What are you scared of? What's the story that you're telling yourself? And do you have a fear of being delusional in what people will think of you? Okay. So that's going to tell you some things that you need to clean up and work on right there. What can you disprove? And how you do that is disprove it. Okay. What stories? So I won't declare I'm going to have, multi 6 figures in my business, next month, because I believe that I would need to do additional work that I haven't thought of yet in my mind. So that right there, I need to do work around believing different avenues that this could come through that are available right now, or in my ability to create a brand new idea that pops off the freaking charts and creates this insane, really fast success. That happens. We're all just a launch away from our biggest month, or an idea away from our biggest month. So that's the work that I need to do. What's the work that you need to do? And then I would love for you to either get that journal, right? Have a special book dedicated to your creations and what you are calling through. And you write at the top of the page, everything I write down on these pages comes true. Or if you don't like that, like what other version of that? What's your modality for speaking these things into existence? And then the last thing here, I just want you to be, all of us here, I'm speaking to myself too, all of us be all around more conscious of the words that we are speaking out loud into the world. In the same way, like as I'm speaking to Cruz about this, like your words have power. I'm also like, okay, the irony of me saying that, because I say all the time, I talk and indulge in crap all the time that I do not want to happen. But you get in conversations with people and you just want to be relatable and you just want to be realistic and normal. And it's like, yeah, but I don't want to be realistic and I don't want to be normal. So I need to be better about the words that I'm putting out and that I'm putting energy into and putting out into the world, because all of our words have power. All of our beliefs have power and have a frequency to it. All right. Let me know how this goes. Also, I want to give you or tell you about something really cool before we wrap up. So, as you know, or maybe you don't, I have a membership called All In, the membership. And with this membership, you get instant access to all my programs and you get 2 coaching calls a month. So, ton of value. And this membership is a year-long commitment, which I realize, like, if you're new to me, that's a really big ask. And this isn't like, it's priced in to me, a very affordable way. Well, affordable isn't the word, but compared to the value, it's priced where like it makes, if you want my stuff and you want coaching from me, it's priced very well, right? Because the value far exceeds the price of the membership. But I also realize that's a really big ask to ask you to jump into a container for a full year at the price point that it is. Some of you, if you get in and you love it, it would make all the sense in the world. But if you don't know if you would love it yet, that's a really big ask. So what we have decided to do is we have decided to make it to where for 1 month and 1 month only, December, you can actually test out the membership. You can try it on for a month. And if you don't want any more, that's great. You can move on with your life. And if you love it, you get to confidently sign up for a year. And we are giving you 2 ways to test it out. So you can do just the calls. So if you're like, I just need some coaching, I could really use some support. Like as I'm going into the new year, as I'm closing down this year, I could really, really use some coaching and also just be in the vibes of other women who are playing big like I am. Then you can test out the membership. By the way, we're calling this All In December. And one way is just the calls for $222. You could jump in, you get 2 live coaching group calls where everybody gets time. We don't put a time limit on it. You just show up. You can ask pretty much as many questions as you want. You get to hear other people's questions, and it's just really great energy. So that's one way that you can test it out. And then the second way that you can test it out is with the calls and all of the programs. So everything that's currently included, you get to test out for 1 month for $677. You would get 2 live coaching calls plus instant access to all of my programs for the full month of December. So if that sounds exciting for you, you can sign up for either one of those in the show notes. And if you have any questions about that, you can reach out to me on Instagram. But that's all that I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this. I love you, and I will see you here next week. Bye.